got SSG going up against BDS here at the Blast R6 Manchester Major. I'm Jeannie, this is Lax, and we need to step up our hat game or whatever that was.
I thought I was watching an episode of Peaky Blinders at that point. I mean, Forrest looked like he needed a monocle with that top hat.
Nah, I have no idea what's going on, but you know what? They might actually were just looking for the win.
I mean, I think it's good to bring in vibes. Obviously, they came off of just recently a loss, so to come in with that type of energy, I mean, it just goes to show their mental fortitude is at an all-time high.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that they really are going to need because you are going up against a team like BDS, and this is, I mean, EUL's finest.
Literally EUL's finest. I mean, this is a team that we didn't get to see at the most recent SI because they didn't have that great showing at Atlanta.
They weren't EUL's finest back
No, they
then.
weren't EUL's finest by any means. But this is a team, this is a rematch actually for both these teams, dating all the way back to Atlanta, where unfortunately SSG did lose. So this is, you know, going to be a head-to-head that this is going to be a lot more pressure on SSG than it is going to be for BDS.
Yeah, and I think the pressure as well from SSG coming through for the fact that they've not yet gotten a win on the board either, particularly on that first game of the day. And it's a team that is very emotional and momentum heavy. Like, I mean, it's very obvious. They're very tight-knit, but they have certain expectations of themselves.
Yeah, you know, we see this here. They look sad. They look down. Obviously, that's a very normal response after you're losing a game. But then we just literally watched the walk-in where they're all smiling. They got top hats on. They got monocles. They got inspector glasses. They got magnifying glasses. They have a pipe on them. Like, these guys, again, the mental fortitude is there. So I don't have any doubt that they're going to fix their mistakes from this last game going into this game. But by any means, it's not going to be any easier than what they just went against. If anything, it's going to be harder.
They just went on like a little shopping spree and they got some hats. And you know what that proves? Shopping makes everybody happy. A little bit of retail therapy never hurt anyone. But when we're looking at SSG against BDS, it's also individual players that we're going to have to put under that microscope particularly and see how their performances impact the wider game, particularly Fultz and that matchup against Brit.
So these are two of their support players. Fultz obviously being on SSG, Brit being on BDS. This is going to be a game where it's going to come down to the support side. Obviously, when you looked at the Furia versus BDS game, they were struggling on their front hold, but BDS was actually performing well with Brid.
Yeah.
Then when you look at SSG, they were performing extremely well on their front end, on their aggression, on their entries, but Fultz was the one that was lacking. So to me, this is going to come down to a situation of both teams finding their success on their entry and support, and whoever can do that is going to run away with this game.
Yeah, and that's something to really look forward to, particularly because at the end of the day, there is a lot of pressure on both of these teams. BDS, because it's literally BDS. SSG, because it is also SSG. They have those expectations of themselves. But when we're looking at the community, particularly when we're looking at chat, you know, I mean, as much as they love their gambas, they like their Twitch chat points, you know, that's all I'm going to say. The vote actually goes heavily in favor of BDS, and that is expected, but not necessarily a bad thing for SSG.
No, not by any means. And it's also not bad to be an underdog by any means. No. I mean, I'm not even an NA bias, and truthfully, I think this is a BDS game overall, not even just because of the two teams. I think just BDS just looks better. This is the team that I even have making it go the distance. But that's not, I don't want to write SSG off by any means. They are a strong team. They had a phenomenal run in LCQ. They obviously pushed through the Phase 1. They came out short against ITB, but again, there's a lot of games that seems to be played. It is a best of one. It really is about who shows up that game, and that's all you need. Sometimes that's all you need to push yourself further.
And at the end of the day, you do need that win on the board. It is really important for both of these teams to not go into tomorrow being 0-2.
Yes.
And with the map as well, map picks being done and dusted, we now know where we're going to be heading forward to, and that adds a little bit of spice to the competition because we're going to be, I mean, not really spice because it's Oregon, whatever you want to call it, but this is going back once again to those fundamentals. Every team and their mother can play this.
Yes, I mean, you nailed it perfectly. Fundamentals, that is literally Oregon. There is nothing that you can do to surprise the other team. Everything has been done, I swear, by every other team, every other region. It's really going to come down to the communication, those initial gunfights, playing together, the fundamentals, as you just said. That's literally what Oregon is in a nutshell. But for me, again, the pressure is more on SSG. BDS has looked on point. And dating back to the Atlanta, when this team first met, it was a 7-2 on Skyscraper. And the problem was, Callout said that he had a vision. He knew exactly how they wanted to counter BDS. It didn't work out. And that's recently what most just happened against ITB. Callout again said they wanted that consulate. They knew how they wanted to approach it. And they lost 4-7. And when I look at that Furia versus BDS, I think Furia just obviously, that's the World Championship team. That was the hardest game of the day for any of the teams to be playing. And they pushed it to the limit. Sure, they fell short to a 6-8. But again, I think that just came down to just basic fundamentals that we talked about, and Furia, being world champions, outclass them. But this is going to be a situation, again, where SSG is going to have the majority of the pressure on them.
Yeah, the pressure on SSG, but they don't seem to be crumbling under it. They look very happy, very relaxed. They got the vibes going. They're passing the vibe check. But we're ready to head into the game because we have our casters, Demo and Ollie, ready to break this one down. The last game of today on the A stream.
On the A stream for day one of phase 2, and what a game we have ahead of us. We're getting a BDS game, Demo.
I'm not allowed to say anything nice about
Why
BDS.
not?
No, I'm just not. I'm just going to keep myself reserved.
Well, then we get an SSG game, Demo. I'm happy for both of these. One, I enjoyed watching SSG inside of phase 1.
Yeah.
I got to do a couple of those games, and they were fantastic to watch. It was the J9O show. Fultz had a fantastic time. An exciting team to watch coming out of North America. Very middle of the pack performance during their regular stage. And then we get to watch BDS, a team that I know that we've watched a lot of. We've spent a lot of time watching Europe, spent a lot of time working in Europe. We know that this team is the real deal.
But one thing that we haven't seen this side do this stage is play Oregon.
No.
They have not played Oregon the entire stage. This has been hidden for, what, nearly 2 months? Oh boy. Have SSG blundered? Have they lost a piece?
Well, the last time that I've got it being played was 196 days ago.
Yep.
Now, that doesn't necessarily take into account everything, but it takes into account tier 1 competition, stages, and majors. So any sort of quals or anything like that, if it was played, I don't know if it played at Malta or something along those lines, that may not be included in that stat line. However, it is not a map that we know BDS to go on to very often. It is a very basic map. For me, it's the first one out if the map pool gets changed. I'm going to be honest with you. Not because I'm sick of it, but just because I think there are so many more maps out there that have got more complex layers to them. And we look at Oregon and we think, defender, basement, it's got the best site in the game for the defenders, and it sort of molds the way that it's played a little bit. So there are some sort of expected splits here for attacker-defender side. However, something that will change that attacker-defender split every single time this map is played, and it's one of the reasons why I love Siege, is because we get the bans. Grim has been banned. That may be the first Grim ban that I've seen so far in Manchester. I can't remember of any other games that we've done that's had it on.
Well, I cast the games where we had Grim and Ying bans.
Right.
So it has happened
So we're
before.
in familiar territory for you, but
yeah.
Grim is a mainstay in the attacker lineup. A Grim is a mainstay ban as well, so no surprises. What it does do is it unleashes the shields.
Well, we look at Oregon, for example. To see Grim and Ying both be banned in Oregon is huge from a defender point of view, especially for that basement. Grim and Ying are really the only two operators that we have seen successfully assist their team with taking a basement win, which is usually, it is the best bomb site in the game for the defense. It just is. And yeah, to see both of them banned, like you mentioned, shields, I wouldn't say that, you know, probably outside of Forest and maybe a bit of Blitz, I wouldn't say BDS are a shield team.
I wouldn't say that they are really. They've probably got the ability to, but I'd like all of them with a gun in their hand if I had the choice.
I mean, look, the sheer power of the gun skill from all of the individuals in BDS is one of the most stacked that we have in the world. It is, everyone knew this coming in. Whenever you see the changes that BDS made, player for player, users and Solidifying for Renshiro and Alems, come on.
It's going to be a loud one here tonight. SSG have brought a certain level of energy, all dressing up as Sherlock Holmes and famous inspectors of...
Galaxian said Peaky Blinders. I don't know what episode of Peaky Blinders he's watching a dodgy version of Peaky Blinders. That's... No way!
I'm getting ready to make a load of like 2-on-2 Baker Street jokes.
Oh my. Who's Holmes, who's Watson?
Exactly. I'm sure we'll find out. Round number 1, BDS going to take us downstairs. Again, no real surprises here in their site selection. We've already said it's one of the better sites on Oregon, and certainly one of the better sites in the entire game here for the defenders. And without those disruptive operators to remove people from power positions, like the Grim, like the Ying, you are left to find other tools to get that job done. And there are plenty of other tools. There are just some that do it a little bit differently. J90, he's going to be opting for the Monty. We've got Ashen opting for the Capitao.
Yeah, look, again, 2 operators that you can bring in that can try and assist with those attacks onto the basement, which, surprisingly, to me, it's a roam game from BDS. You know I hate this. I hate roams in the basement.
It depends. It depends, doesn't it? It depends what their trigger is for going back down to site. Because provided that they will have, right, if this happens, we go back down to site. If they waste time, fantastic. If they can all get back down, even better. However, the roam clear is going to come through, and it's going to come through pretty fiercely. There's a dope to be called, there's live information on a drone. Solitov not in a great spot right now. And he's going to get taken down there. LeakyFac finds Ashen. A bit of a blunder there from LeakyFac. He saw Forest, and it took him a while to register.
Phenomenal team play there from EFAC and also Solidifying, both supporting one another in that situation. And look, they still come away with 2 kills and a massive one. You've eliminated the Capitao. Those are one of the main ways that you can clear away positions such as Pillar, such as Freezer, into the small closet as well, in towards Laundry. So this is where SSG now, they are fighting an uphill battle from the get-go already. A minute 30's been wasted, and you mentioned about the trigger. The trigger for BDS is, let's just get some kills, and that's us.
Exactly, get some kills, waste some time, take someone with you. The Deimos going out there as well. And you can see just how cautious J90's being on every single door frame. He's double-checking for these cap cans, and that's because they know that cap can's in play. They don't want to fall victim to losing a good chunk of health there, so he's having to go through and manually clear that. Now, the rest of his team is still working away, so the time he's spending doing that isn't horrendous, but it's still taking away from something else that he could be doing. This is the bit that I'm most concerned about here for SSG and how they're going to try and approach this. We've got Shaiko playing on Pillar. Now, there's a spot in this game called Shaiko. There's a few. One of them is here on Oregon. It isn't quite the Pillar. It's a little bit further over toward the left, but this is the reason why. He finds one onto Fulls. Iconic is there to take him down. LeakyFac, he has to back up, but he's going to find the headshot onto the Monty as they de-shield.
All 3 players of SSG wanting to push down the stairs. Only the hatch was open for them. They could have used the hatch in towards E-Box, but they didn't choose to go for it. I mean, look, the team play in the early stage was very strong from BDS.
Yeah.
And look, whenever you lose an operator like Capitao, it really limits you.
BDS's trades all EUL long have been phenomenal. They do not play far apart from one another, and they're very quick to react when they need to. Great team play.
Just a monster that round, isn't it? A triple kill for him.
Yeah.
Just SSG gets caught by a roam, you know, and you lose those operators, and we know as soon as you come behind on the basement attacks, it's over. It is, like we mentioned before, it is the best bomb site in the game.
They can only play it twice. If they win, they can only
twice
play
too
it
many.
Twice. The key difference on Oregon comes down to the second and third choice site. Upstairs on the top floor, again, is a very good site for the defenders, but there are a lot of options for the attackers. And then the tertiary bomb site is where we often see Oregon's won and lost for both sides. So very keen attention needs to be paid here by SSG. They are expecting the basement to be tricky, but here they should have a little bit of an easier time of things. They should at least be able to get into Master, get a bit of control, and start to open that wall. We've got plenty of hard breach options. If they want to get attic open as well, they can do that.
Yeah, you can just rotate the ace to one side and then rotate Havana to the other side. So yeah, like you mentioned, no issues. They may have some issues with the mute jammer because they don't have any impact DMPs to kind of deal with that. Of course, they have a buck and an IQ that can go below and remove them, but then it's the kind of hassle of, oh, now we have to go and check in towards meeting, for example. So yeah, it will just take them a bit of time to get through that, and it's just going to burn the clock down, which is very strong, you know, for BDS. Whenever you look at their lineup, they have a Goyo, for example. We know how strong that operator can be in the final 40 seconds. And even Goomines, for example. And the Frostman, it's just that kind of trap meta where it is just annoying and very slow to deal with. As expected, Forrest downstairs, who I don't know if he's already been able to destroy the mute jammer or not. I have no idea. But you can see that there is a Solace towards Big Tower right now inside of T2. They have lost their Havana. So already, Hard Breacher gone, and it's only just been past a minute. Not a great start for SSG. If
LeakyFac manages to slip away here and get himself up white, he's going to have done an absolute number on SSG. The positioning from Forrest was good inside a meeting. Wow. LeakyFac's not done. He's happy enough that he's put some damage in. Might go and try and reclaim that. Fultz is now trying to join in on the party as well, but Leaky Fact will get that confirmed, and he's still gone unchallenged. SSG now, they're saying, well, we know that you're a man light on the site. They've lost 2 bodies, so they're going to try and take some favorable gunfights up here, try and isolate some 1 versus 2s, and see if they can get anything going for them. But the Vulcan canisters, they're going to stop them dead in their tracks.
BDS just aren't giving them anything. There's not a hope right now for SSG. BDS, they just have that perfect motion of going aggressive, going passive, and it just plays that kind of mind game. Look, they finally got a kill, but again, in the midst of that, you also lost another player, so there is still that 2-man gap between BDS and SSG. Wall is open for them, but look, the Goyo canisters are still going to be around. You've got C4s, the goo mines. SSG just need to hope the BDS overswing, but we know this team, only the discipline of this team, they're not going to do that.
The goo man going to give the game away here as Fultz can now try and push into Closet, but he knows that all of these angles are going to be watched. Iconic and Fultz holding hands here inside a Master. They've not really got too much room to work with. And BDS, I don't think anybody has moved in the past 20 seconds, but they don't need to. They are watching established angles, and they're playing with incredible discipline. Shaiko, he's going to get himself into position, but it's Leaky Fight, the man of the moment. 3 kills on the round. Brede to finish off. BDS, business as usual here, not giving SSG anything to go on.
That's twice now that I've noticed that SSG, whenever the the final hurrah comes in, they all start to group together.
And it's a big push.
And the thing is that I kind of feel for SSG is, do they not feel comfortable that they can go to different parts of the map and win their engagements? Is that the kind of mentality that the coaching staff has said, look, we've watched them, these guys are amazing at the trade game, so let's just double up and try and overwhelm them. But by causing that, if you don't get the kills in the early game, then you go from, okay, we're going to take a 2-on-1, but then BDS have the extra man, so it's still a 2v2 in the long run. It just feels as though maybe they're just a little bit shy, a little bit timid in actually trying to go toe-to-toe with BDS. Look, I say that. It's not easy to... I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could go toe-to-toe with BDS. And maybe Fury, they proved it.
I mean, the thing is, BDS are in here because they've lost today. This is the 1-1 game.
Who beat these? You just think those are...
This is the 0-1 game, don't forget. Both of these 2 teams suffered a loss earlier on today, and they're both playing to decide whether they're going to go into the 0 and 2 side of Swiss, or whether they're going to go into the 1 and 1 side of Swiss. You're coming up against the BDS that's been beaten this morning in a best of 1 that went to overtime against Furia. It was a fantastic game, and now they're angry. They are unleashing that here onto SSG, and we're seeing it in the server. We don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. This is the 3rd choice site, and again, we often say that Oregon is won and lost on this 3rd choice site.
Yeah, this is the must-win for SSG. If they don't win this, they are then having to go against the basement, against that top floor again, and it's just that cycle of, wow, we are really in for it now. So yeah, this has to be the round that SSG get onto the board. Again, BDS, the way that they're playing is so... EFAC, we've seen this during the regular stage. He will just go off on one where he has the confidence of 1,000 men behind him.
So slippy.
It's... Again, I've said it before, it's one of them. If one guy is just doing everything right and he's just winning every engagement, how do you stop that?
He's 7-0 right now. He's showing no signs of slowing down. Fultz, top of Armory, can look to try and get pit open, but I believe that Selma did get impacted off there. A little bit of a C4 potentially from below as well that caught it out. Just goes to show how on it BDS are. They know exactly what's going on all over their map right now. Because Oregon in the building really has been theirs over the past couple of rounds. Still working on information, still trying to find a way in. The Track Stinger's not going to stop Leaky Fact from making that rotation. He knows he's got the health to tank a few hits and get slowed briefly. Forrest seeing if he can cut anyone across. They're really concerned about this flank. They're investing very heavily into it, but it really is slowing them down.
They look so scared to move. Like, they really do. It's not the same SSG that we've seen, before, where they were moving through the map, just know exactly what they wanted to do. They look out of it right now. They don't know who they want to swing. Fultz missing so many of those shots, starting to show in the gameplay.
Forrest is going to get that back as a trade, so it isn't horrendous right now. Still 4 versus 3 in favor of BDS, and as you blink, you miss it. Shaiko picks up a headshot. Solidifying hits an entry denial device on the cap cam from the grave. Always love a Capcan coming in and picking up a kill after they've already been sent to the cameras in the round. Nice little KD recovery there for him. Forrester's got 30 seconds. He's got the kit, but again, BDS, they just turn into statues. It's honestly like a game of statues.
Musical statues.
The music stops. There's one person left, the music stops, and everybody stands still. And the first person to move has to buy everyone dinner the next night because these boys are just not going anywhere, not giving an inch, incredibly disciplined, and it's very frustrating to play against. When you're not getting those chances, it can really start to affect you. Forrest will find himself an exit, but that's all it is ever going to be.
My goodness. 3 incredibly dominant rounds by BDS. SSG just looked like a shell of the team that we've seen here. Honestly, even play earlier, the team that we've seen play a few days ago. They are really struggling now to get into it, and I hope this timeout from Callout is going to be good enough. I don't think it's more the case of the strategies, it's just they need to get their heads in the game.
Yeah, it needs to be big because it's not been going well for SSG. They've used the timeout at a perfect time, in my opinion. They've seen all 3 sites. They've attacked the tertiary bomb site. They know what the setup roughly is going to be. They can get a sense and a feel for the BDS game plan right now. The biggest problem, I'd hate putting it all on one person, but it's Leaky Fac. 7 kills, 1 death. He has just been running around doing whatever it is he fancies, and nobody on the side of SSG can put a head on that chicken because he is just everywhere.
We're at a situation where the top players, J9O and Ashen in the kill department, are not on the board. It's Iconic and Forrest who have actually, had the lesser stats of the team.
Let's see if the timeout is good for a round. Typically, tactical timeouts can be very impactful, and it's the only impact a coach can have during the course of a live game. Can watch behind and make notes and get ready for a debrief, but the big impact is that timeout. 45 seconds to impart some knowledge, to steady the ship, and see if they can just swing it around.
I will say, though, at this event specifically, there has been a new rule for the coach. How loud you can shout at the enemy team.
That has been a thing. I know what we should do is we should get a decibel.
Oh, who's the loudest coach?
Why production? We need to do this. We need to get a decibel meter, put it in the booths, and find out who the loudest team is.
The answer: Troy Canadian.
Exactly. Only when they're winning, though.
Well, I'll tell you,
they're all loud when they're winning.
Haven't heard a national scream yet.
No.
That's it's a big tell. Here we go. Oh, it's going to be a direct blue rush, isn't it? That's what they're going to try and open up for. So yeah, Monty and Capitao moving in towards blue with the diffuser in hand as well. What's going to happen is that the Capitao will more than likely smoke off the Shaiko door, smoke off the head holes in E-Box, and then Monty will just run straight into elbow and try and get his kill. But he's against the smoke.
Well, Shaiko and users are going to be in the area. They do have Bride on elbow as well. They will have a Vulcan canister there. They'll have some goo mines, so the longer that SSG take to fully mount this push and commit to it, the more goo mines will be out there. Iconic can send the Twitch drone in now and see if he can find any value. If he can zap out a couple of those Vulcan canisters in the first minute, that would be fantastic. One is going to get blown there, though. That stops J9O from pushing through. The Toxic Babe canister ensures that no one's going to be making it through. Fultz has got himself into a real interesting spot there. He's actually hanging out on the back of tower stairs.
Yeah, you can also see, I believe, Iconic. He's setting up over towards Laundry, hoping that he might catch some of the roamers that could rotate towards that side of the map. But everyone from BDS have got the call. Come back to site. We think they're going to go for a rush. And they've all came down from Freezer. So Iconic, he's holding no one right now.
He could get himself into the bottom of Laundry and have a bit of an effect, but at the moment he isn't going to be doing too much. Another goo mine goes out. Shaiko retreats to his spot, thinks about answering the phone, but he's very cautious of this Monty. There's going to be some barbed wire that stops him from pushing down. Ashen going to pick the first kill up there onto Shaiko, and a second onto Bride. 2 headshots back to back there. Iconic hitting the rotation as well. Leaky Fac, he's got a chance to charge this Monty down, and he's going to do that. That drops the diffuser cold inside of Electric, hitting J9O off the map. That's a huge kill right now. You don't want that Monty to bully you inside of the site. And BDS, they can breathe a sigh of relief, but not for long.
He's moved into the iconic position. They know exactly where he is. You can hear him shuffling. He has the ping, a big LMG in the hand for Forrest. Will he win it out? Yes, he will. There is still a Goyo canister on that door as well, but I don't think it's going to help them, though, as the man count is firmly in control of SSG for the first time in this game. Uses all by himself. A player surely will get him from Highway, but no, it's the big bad LMG from Forrest that secures the kill. 10 times better from SSG. Slow, methodical. They think about what they want to do. They were very minimalistic in the take. They said, we're going to take big tower, we're going to take blue, and that is it. Iconic, you can go and do your lurk, which is kind of what he's known for. Sure, you go for it, but as long as the rest of us know what we're doing, we're going to have no issues.
Miles better there from SSG. Ashen, player that you mentioned, had struggled to get into the picture. After the timeout, he's come in and picked up a lightning couple of kills.
Oh, great shot.
Bish bash off, Shaiko and Brede. Good little play from Leakyfac, and it could have been the start of something. But SSG, they knew they had time. There was around a minute left when Leakyfac killed J90 there, and SSG are like, right, so what? Let's just take a minute to breathe. Slow things down. We don't need to over-aggress and peak this, and we certainly don't want to be going one by one by one. Good attempt from BDS to try and salvage the situation. However, SSG came into that with the right mindset. They've won a round on the basement. That could be huge. They can chain another couple together here, maybe pick up the third choice site. They could be looking at a favorable split here on Oregon.
Timeout's work from Callout. He's really settled the guys down. He said to him, come on, we're better than this. Let's just go very simple. Let's just it's almost, there's no point pushing into these guys. Let them come to us. We'll just play our siege and they can try and stop it.
It's flipped, hasn't it? SSG were playing BDS's siege for the first 3 rounds, and then all of a sudden they've taken a bit of control and a bit of ownership back over.
We're the attackers, hang on a minute.
They can set some pace here. The shield didn't do too badly either. It at least got them in. J90 was able to provide a good bit of information off the back of it as well. It's going to be Forrest this time on the shield.
More familiar face.
Well, giving J90 a chance to get a kill, I think. He's 0-4 right now. Going to get himself onto the power and see what he's capable of. Forrest 5-2 at the moment as well, so really having a heavy impact and getting a lot of good information on the drone here for this top floor attack. BDS, a little bit fragmented at the minute. They are a little bit split up.
I wonder if they might try and go for a big window jump in as well. You know, they have the Capitao. They can maybe try and fire in some of the arrows into some of the key positions. It looks to be Forrest is going to go below. Oh, but no, he just tries to run past Solidifying, but he's able to get the down onto the Monty, and that is firmly stopped the push from SSG for the meantime.
Great trade from Iconic there onto Solitov. Ashen is going to finish off Leakyfac as well. So whilst it might have looked horrendous for a moment, it's actually stabilized and it probably favors SSG, especially with users taking a ton of damage there. Now we can revive the Monty and look to push up White. That's going to be a nightmare for users to deal with. He's being pinned from the window and he's not got a lot of HP. If that Monty gets in his face, it could be disastrous. The fire's likely going to do the job. He desperately tries for the Nitro and to swing the window, but it's just too much to do. J90, welcome to the scoreboard. You take users down, puts SSG in a 4 versus 2 here.
Shaiko's still up though, and full health with those goo mines can try and stop Forrest to get that diffuser down. Of course, a Monty with a goo mine in his leg is not much use to you whatsoever. He's thinking about the jumping. He's no smoke, so he is lacking in the smoke department. There is one from J90, and he will try and send it in to cover off the feet holes. He spots one player over towards the rotate towards White. Iconic's going to need to try and take him out. He will try and go for the rush. Iconic, a phenomenal play, and down goes Shaiko. SSG, we're back in business.
This is the SSG that I wanted to see today coming into this. Confident, making plays, and really getting in the face of the players on the side of BDS. Not giving them the space to just run around silly all over the map like Leakyfac was doing for the first 3 rounds and getting away with murder. Brilliant stabilization here from SSG. There's now a real chance that they level this up to a 3-3 and that could be fantastic for them.
Great bit of play from J90 as well to pick off Usus, who was again caught in a very difficult position. Just on top of White Stairs, was thinking about maybe I can swing on, because he obviously knew a guy was down on White Stairs. They knew that, but he couldn't really get the right timing to go for it. And then that fire arrow comes in, you're dead, you're gone. But also again, that little play from Iconic, just full on sprints, knows he has to eliminate that player on the rotate. Done his job extremely well.
Jane, you mentioned a smart play there. Fire arrow onto the roof, it will always drop. So that's something to bear in mind if you're worrying about trying to or wondering how to get a fire arrow in a particular position. You can place it onto the ceiling, should I say, and it will drop and move out that player, and that's exactly how they got users.
And it's also showing how teams can attack without the Ying and the Grim.
Exactly. Doing a really good job there, because a Ying and a Grim would have been ideal. You'd have grimmed the player at the top white. You'd have put the pressure on him in that way.
You'd have yinged him as well.
You'd have yinged in and maybe gone in through big window. So it does just go to show that there are so many tools in the arsenal of both attackers and defenders at the moment in Siege, and it really is a fantastic place for the meta to be.
A matchup that also we haven't mentioned yet is Users versus J9O. In my opinion, two of the most consistent players in the world. Almost like the NA and EU counterparts of one another, you know. They also look a little similar, you know, with the beards and that kind of young face behind it, so...
Short hair.
Yeah. So yeah, two phenomenal players, I think, over the past year. You know, they have been massive staples for both of their teams and their regions alike, so it is nice to see both of them go up against each other. Just a fun little fact, just, you know. That's a demo fact.
Well, we'll see how they heat up into this. Oh, what a kill from Leaky Fac. Action has just been put to bed there. Great opener, and it's what BDS needed, and believe it or not, it's how the BDS successful rounds went.
Oh, Fault's.
Fault's going to take a bit of damage. You can turn around and grab the ladder there, and you can avoid a little bit of that, but he was going for the quick route down. Iconic will find himself a kill onto Solitov. Needs to get rid of the mute jam before he can hack the phone. Interesting interaction for everyone. It's not a common one, but it does exist. Opening pick there, responded too much quicker. So whilst SSG suffered that opening loss, they were very quick to trade it back, and it does just go to show that they are moving quite quickly still. They're going to double down. Shaiko's the next player to fall. He's having a fairly quiet affair, all things considered so far as well. 2 kills in the opening half.
And this is why I'm not a fan of the roam game in the basement. If you start losing bodies, one, your lineup in terms of actually trying to deal with things like a Capitao, like a Monty, it's not great on the side of BDS. You know, you maybe have a Warden to try and see through smokes, and then maybe the Goyo can try and play, you know, a bit of impact, but that's really it. And if you've lost that man count as well, there's a lot of different ways into this bomb site. You have Freezer, you have Laundry, you have E-Box, you have Blue, you have the backstairs. You know, that's what, 5 areas? An extra man can really upset the apple cart.
SSG still need to be really efficient with the movement here, because whilst they've got an advantage, there's 40 seconds left on the clock. They do have the Monty, so J9O can push through and look to bully some players. Now we're going to see the big dump of Util come in. Smokes go out, Vulcan canisters get popped, and fire arrows go down. Forest, he's getting the plant down. I don't think anybody knows. Brede, he's scrambling to the location, but he's got to stay still, and he chooses the wrong spot. He's getting bared down on by the Monty, and he's going to be taken out by Iconic. J9O, he's going to pick himself up too here. He at least got the alley-oop on Iconics.
Wow. What a turnaround. What a turnaround. Call out whatever he said to them. Give him the extension. Give him the 5-year deal. Sign him up. He's doing a fantastic
Give him a raise.
job. Give him anything. BDS, on the other hand, though, I mean, I don't feel as though they've adapted their game to the way SSG have started playing their Siege. SSG have went for this slow playstyle where they're very clinical in what they want to take, the areas of the map they want to control. BDS are still running around as though it's the same SSG from the first 3 rounds.
Yeah, and it's not.
That's the issue. Like, honestly, if you look at the way that SSG have been playing, why then are you still going to go for the roam? You know they're having a Monty nearly every round. Now, that seems to be the thing that stuck with SSG was the Monty. Monty's great at dealing with the roamers. The information, being able to scare them off. You know, that mix between I can play very passive, very slow, very difficult to kill, to all of a sudden dropping the shield and running at you and killing you with such ease.
Any opening pick fans out there? Opening pick statistic fans? Leaky Fac has had the opening kill in all but 1 round. 6 rounds we've played. We're into the 7th now. He's had 5 opening picks. He's also had 2 3Ks, and he's on 10 kills. He's trying to do everything at the moment.
He is. And look, we have to mention, everyone else from his team just are not showing up.
No, not at the minute.
Shaiko's had a very poor half. Users only had the 1 kill. Solidifying, I think, is just, he's been called out way too easily. 2 and 6. Survivability isn't even there either. He's died every round.
Well, the change of the half may bring a bit of a change of fortune for BDS, but for SSG, they do not want to move a muscle because they are locked in right now. 3 rounds in a row after suffering a pretty serious battering in the first 3. They've rallied and got themselves into a very good position now to start their defensive half. BDS now with a bit of pressure on them on this attack, given their kind of lackluster defensive phase. Shaiko, he's got himself into security here. He's going to be on the Deimos. Nobody roaming from SSG. They're all happy to dig in, knowing that this is the basement. Again, another little difference from the way that we saw BDS play it. When the roam works, it's brilliant. When it doesn't, it can be quite devastating. And if you get back down to site and you've not got a full 5 to watch every angle, you can get punished. Shaiko's hot on the heels, though, of the players that are retreating down into Freezer. Just looking to hold that for a time.
Doesn't look as though he was able to get a Goyo canister from that nade, which shows that SSG have placed it well, just to not die, you know, to lose that out with just a random nade being tossed in. But yeah, SSG going for the turtle strategy. No mirror, which is a little bit of a surprise. Usually we'd see the mirror be brought in for the basement if you do want to play that kind of anchor positions. You can place it, you know, obviously looking in towards laundry, maybe play one in towards blue if you want to as well. Again, you have a couple of options. You can do the mirror window into freezer. So yeah, they're just going to forego that at the moment. Obviously, BDS starting to probe around the site. They have opened up hatches. They're starting to drone out things as well. But the main thing that I would say BDS need to really worry about is, okay, how do we deal with a guy who could be in a power position towards Pillar, for example? Because they don't really have the utility to deal with that. They have a few flashes, and that's really it.
Shaiko looks like he might be getting ready for a bit of a drop here. The Toxic Babe is going to stop him from doing so. 35 seconds, though. BDS really need to make a move here. Leaky Faki's going to be creeping in down Freezer. He's got a player in his sights tucked into Laundry, but there's no reason for that player to move right now. He's going to have to charge through the smoke. Grabs one, but doesn't get the close range. Users picks one up in between, and kills are going to start to fly. Forest left as the sole survivor. He's actually going to rotate himself up the stairs. The diffuser is cold, and he's got it. It's on the floor. Picks up one. Can he grab the second? No. The kill comes through. Great heads-up play there from Forest, recognizing he had the kit. If he'd have had a bit more HP, he might have been able to smash that Goyo Vulcan shield and get himself up Laundry and stop anyone from even recovering the kit.
I was going to say, I know for a fact the Goyo canister was not popped on that side.
He thought about it. You could see him thinking about it as he looks through it, but he just didn't have enough HP to tank that 2 ticks.
Even though BDS win that, why is the diffuser over there?
This is Narnia.
I don't know, but look, BDS, they still win the round. It wasn't looking too good for them. I almost thought that actually EFAC had botched his position because he missed that easy kill onto the Goyo.
Yeah.
But somehow he gets the kill, shoots the guy in the back, the smoke. That kind of lets that kill happen where it really shouldn't. But Users had some great shots as well in that round. You know, great shot onto the player inside of Freezer.
Well, he had to push through, didn't he?
Yeah, he had to make a play.
BDS had they had the time pushing them in on the back, saying you need to hurry up. That this is, it wasn't too slow, but it was getting toward being too slow.
Yeah.
BDS are going to use all the round though. This is one of the things that we've seen about them on the attack. They're very comfortable in that final 30 seconds. They're still very comfortable in that final 15. It's not too. It looks stressful, and it is stressful to watch, but you've got to kind of trust the process a little bit.
It's BDS in terms of the attacks and the way they've had in EUL. They have looked so dominant a lot of the time. You know, one EUL team had, you know, and I quote, they told me this, we couldn't breathe. They starve oxygen away from you. That's the pressure this team applies. Oh, Shaiko, a massive opening pick. How has he wormed that one in? J90 gone. Wamai off the board, an operator that you would want to kind of hang around the entire round because he's one of those operators that his gadget, you get more as the time continues.
Generate over time the Wamai magnets, so I guess there'll be 1, maybe 2. You generate the magnets pretty slow. I know that you get 1 at the start of the round, but you don't get 1 after the prep phase. You've got to wait a little bit, so depending on where he's placed it, if he has, it'll very easily be dealt with. It's obviously something that SSG would have been relied on to ease up the pressure that Capital can bring. Iconic can choose to play a little bit more aggro here, though, and it looks like that's what he's doing. He's got himself into closet. There's also a Melusi Banshee on the closet door as well. C4 is going to go out, won't be successful, but Forest, meanwhile, grabs a kill over onto Brede. That's going to be the hard breacher dealt with. A nice little refrag there from LeakyFac, just further going to show LeakyFac is never too far away when you need a friend.
I love the uses of Buck here as well, being able to rip open everything underneath kids. Obviously, it's more of a kind of like safe haven position where if all the walls start getting opened up, you'll see the defenders kind of fall back into that position. So having the Buck down there just to remove that element, very, very strong. They still have to go through the guy inside a closet, though. It is going to be the Clash assisted by a few gadgets, such as the Banshee from Malusi will also be supplied. But a minute to go. Look, you mentioned before, BDS, they will take their sweet time of how they want to try and win the round. Ashen just keeps on firing that shotgun. Use this off the board. Capitao gone without having any impact with the utility. But still, 3 versus 3. BDS have got their way up in towards White Stairs. And you still have that player on that double window.
Still a big problem for the Clash because you've not got anything that you can directly deal with it. Shaiko's placed an air jab out. He can hear the C4 rip. Gets downed in the process. I thought he was going to pull the trigger on that and try and shoot it out. But that could be disastrous. That's your White Stairs player gone. LeakyFac going to find himself in a bit of hot water. Solidifying picks up Iconic. Looking to try and get a revive. I'm not sure how Iconic has allowed that to happen, but he's been taken out in process.
He just quickly rappelled down the kid's window. He's got a freebie. Nobody heard the rappel come in. So all credit to Solotov the way he's done that. Bolt swings in towards double window. Can he find another? Yes, he can. SSG respond with their first defense.
The clutch up there from SSG is incredible. That round was so back and forth in the final 30 seconds. Shaiko gets downed, SSG win the round. Shaiko gets revived, Iconic gets killed, BDS win the round. Then Fultz and Ashen swing right at the end, and SSG win the round. So back and forth, so much going on, and I am here for it. Leveled up at 4 rounds apiece. After that opener, I thought, well, with J9O gone, this should be a lot easier. But fortunately for J9O, he doesn't need to feel too bad because Ashen saves the day. Hits users with the 3 pump.
Not
even the 1 pump.
Not one you see all too often. But yeah, Fultz and also Ashen, I like the way they just thought, hey, we're going to sit in some really kind of stupid positions in our engagement. I'm going to wide swing the double window. I'm going to wide swing closet, and it works.
Back down to the basement we go now then.
Hiding the Cade. Oh, SSG.
Interesting one from Fultz.
Still doesn't matter.
Hasn't worked.
Still see a Maverick locked in, means absolutely nothing. And again, this is what some of the best teams will do. They'll still just bring it. You know, they'll prep for anything. You don't need to spot out the Cade to know that, hey, they might have a Cade.
The value is in keeping your drone alive. Once you find out where the site is, set a few pre-places up, keep them alive because it doesn't really matter what the lineup is because you can bring things that are going to suit everything.
Lost 2 drones. It's really all that they lost. Everything else is still up, and I think whenever Solus is still on the board as well, I think it'd be quite difficult to try and get the pre-placed drone sometimes, just knowing that Solus is available. Obviously, they wouldn't know that Solus isn't on the board, but again, it's always that what if. Oh, Forest! What a run out! This is what I wanted to see from SSG. I just sat there and why did they not go in with this mentality from the get-go? You know, you look at them first 3 rounds, you know, they've evolved. Really, they have evolved from those first 3 rounds, SSG.
Look at LeakyFac right now. He's got himself straight down to the bottom of Laundry Stairs. Very calculated risk here in that it's clear and that there's no roamers, but can go down and immediately find some pressure. If no one's there, great, you can come away from it. But he was really hoping to find himself something there. Brede now can start to open up these hatches. You do need to be incredibly careful with how much of the blowtorch you use, but of course Usus is there as well with that secondary utility. LeakyFac, I think he was trying for that BP, but got caught out by the Wamai.
Yeah, it's going to be a very difficult push, I think, for BDS without having that extra man, especially a Deimos that you would like to kind of try and spot out a player on Shaiko. No more of a player in a difficult position. Hey, that might actually have been their option for how do we deal with like Pillar, for example, is you just scan the guy out and then you know exactly where he is. Shaiko go kill. Yeah, pretty good plan to me, but losing the Deimos right from the get-go, yeah, it's going to hinder him a little bit. So they are going to have to rely on using the Capitao bolts from users to great success. EFAC just seems to be everywhere right now. He's now towards the blue side of things. Ashino has a shield and can sit behind it with really no issues. Seems to be nothing that BDS can really do against it.
That's the last Rotero drone as well, and they've not dealt with the player on elbow. Brede, though, he's got himself dropped. He's got the diffuser, and he's inside a pillar. Picks up one and a down on a second. Need to recover that diffuser now. Ashen's still behind the shield, but he's going to get flamed out there. Solidifying grabs one onto Iconic. Ashen just swings into Leaky Fact. BDS have seen a gap, and they have taken it. They can recover the kit and start to think about getting this plant down now. Forest going to be in a pretty tough situation very shortly. Leaky Fact does have a goo mine in, needs to be careful about that, and it's not ideal that they can cross on in with the wall open there. The skeleton key doing a bit of last-second reconstruction gives them the right line of sight to find.
Oh, BDS, if there's a will, there's a way for this team.
That was Brede, by the way, that dropped in.
I was literally going to mention,
of all the people,
if it wasn't for Brede dropping, getting that kill, and then 180ing the player on highway. Doesn't kill him, but still gets as good as dead. As good as dead. So Brede out of his skin. Like, look at that. Wow.
Of all the players on the BDS roster, almost of all the players in the server, the last person I'm thinking about taking a big risk like that, dropping a hatch and trying to get a couple of kills, it's Brede.
He's phenomenal.
I'm thinking of everyone else before him. He is the anchor. He is the solid side player that you can rely on to do everything. But no, in this instance, he had to take the initiative, and he essentially won BDS the round.
They don't make him like him anymore, do they?
No.
Hell yeah, support players are hard to come by, especially great ones such as Brede. Been a staple in Europe for God knows how many years now. Dates back a very long time.
5 seconds left.
But right now, for BDS, again, back in front. 5 rounds to 4. It is worth mentioning that SSG, they haven't actually led in this matchup. They've always seemed to be either equal or behind.
They've also not won downstairs in Laundry. For all that we talk about it being a fantastic site, that's the second time that SSG have lost down there. They were successful inside of Kids. It came down to that 2v2 that was very close and a little bit scrappy. They haven't been successful down in Laundry, and it's a little bit of a concern because if you can't win sites down there, then where are you going to start picking up rounds? And so much so, it's forced them into a site change. It's forced them into a mid-floor here.
Have the castle as well, so they will be able to do some form of extension over towards the dining side of things. So they are really going to try and cover what, at least I'd say, maybe 60%, 70% of the map is what they're trying to cover. You know, it's not very often we'd see teams extend towards dining, extend towards showers. It's mostly you try and contain yourself upstairs if you can, such as positions where Iconic is at the moment. Also down towards Big Tower. Hey, they are really going for a run. They are just trying to take just every part of the map away from BDS, but the only issue is you then start to spread yourself extremely thin.
And that's it, and where do you go back to now? You've given up Tower, you've given up Attic, and the wall's soft up there. It's very easy for someone to just walk in and start to take that control, and BDS aren't going to be too far away from doing that. Fact is already stunning out there into Tower. Fortunately for him, stuns himself, but he's happy enough to hop on in. He's got a great cutoff now. Users, they can hop in as well. They can start to try and harass and pressure on this hatch as soon as we get it opened.
So that's the flank protection now from BDS. That is what will win or lose them this round. And it's up to SSG to see if they can exploit that. You need to start looking for flanks up armory or up in free white, because if you just sit back, BDS will play the vertical angles and they will just drop into sight and plant, and you can't really do anything to stop that, so they have to try and retake. But like I said, if BDS can just hold on to the flanks,
what a shot,
then they shouldn't have any issues. Like you mentioned, a great shot from J90, but is it going to be enough?
Tracker on hostile.
Was taking a body away, and Solitov, whilst he's had the value out of the Ram gadget, his job now is going to be to start watching the flanks and thinking about those things. Shaiko might be gearing himself up for a bit of a drop here. The nade goes into clear utility. Brede cautious of the angles that are available, and Iconic on the flank here. He's going to jump into the Solus, into that Helios device. Leaky Fact, he may have heard that, and he may realize that the con is on here. The default camera was active, and well, there's no flies on Leaky Fact. He's immediately aware, pushes down, picks himself a second. All the while, Brede's getting the plant down. SSG far too invested in that flank, and they have left their sight light. Fultz has the vert, but what does it matter? He's going to get downed as well. Uses to pick the last. Beautiful stuff there from BDS.
The round lives and dies based on E-Fact versus Iconic. Iconic wins that. Absolute mayhem will then occur. You have everyone upstairs running around thinking, oh, we're going to get killed from the verts. But E-Fact wins that. It means that doesn't happen. They can then drop in, get the diffuser down. Very little risk. That's what it comes down to. Lives and dies on this. This engagement right here just determines how the round goes. I must say, I do love the initiative as well from EFAC. Gets a kill and straight away thinking, if he's there, that means there's no way someone else can be in lobby. Still wins that engagement as well.
Yeah.
A player that he was not expecting to be there. Look, I respect the fact that they've tried the double flank.
Yep.
Because in many eyes, you'd think, okay, EFAC will kill Iconic and think that's it. He's not going to expect the second guy. But then he just kills him anyway. And this is what I mean. A player who is just 15-6, who is on one right now, you cannot do anything against them. We have tried so hard to think, how do you beat a guy who's just winning every engagement? You don't. I hate to break it to you, that is life.
No, LeakyFac is severely locked in at the moment.
5 seconds
And it's
left.
showing in the scoreboard, it's showing in the moves that he's making on the server as well.
He's carrying his team so hard. Honestly, if he didn't have this day, BDS would have lost. Like,
One-man show.
very poor performance, I think, from the standards of what we expect from our #1 team in Europe.
So for the third site choice, well, not third site choice, but for the third time, should I say, SSG are going to go downstairs. They're going to go down to Laundry. They haven't been successful here yet, but they still feel as though it is their best chance here in this fixture. Now, I'm pretty sure that you just got a glimpse there of Ashen. Ashen knows it, and he's happy to dip back.
Oh, a gritty.
Little call comes through. It was a thought about a call and then a cancel of a call. LeakyFac's got himself down there. Forest, he's actually going to run out while that Dokkaebi call is going through and put a stop to LeakyFac.
Yeah, it's just a loose roam right now from SSG. Ashen's just going to see if he can get a spawn peek and then just try and destroy as many drones as they can. But look at this from J9O. Hidden upstairs into tier 3 is where he will sit. Solitov, the lone blitz by himself outside of blue. Are we going to see something fast from BDS? See that, oh, hang on a minute, there's a lot of roamers here. Do we have to just try and hit site as fast as we can? But I don't know, BDS just seem very fragmented. You know, Blitz is on one end. We're then seeing 2 players, I believe, towards lobby. Another player somewhere upstairs. It's a bit of it's one of them. It's
strange push at the moment. I had a feeling that they were going to try and do something quick, but now that they've lost LeakyFac, maybe that isn't possible. Maybe they needed LeakyFac to remove some of those Vulcan canisters with that Flores gadget, and they needed a bit more out of it. We're now seeing Shaiko get in and trying to nade through, trying to get rid of that Vulcan canister. That barricade is not going to have long left in it, but Shaiko's not too interested in opening it. Instead, he just wants to try and cherry pick a few angles through it.
still worried about Solitov by himself on the blitz. Is that more of a kind of bait to see how many players he can attract towards that side of the map? Now he will rotate over and see if he can help his side, but the only issue with BDS is that they're trying to go for a push and they don't really have a lot on the board. It seems very minimalistic. They haven't really got hatches open. Brede has all of his canisters still up, so no hatches, no pressure towards blue or the backstairs. They're just going to try and go laundry freezer. Solitov tries to pistol down the player on the watch machine. Uses opens up on the force and he's pushed in, but it's not going to be enough as BDS are dropping like flies and it ends in a 1v2 for Brede to see if he can clutch up.
Brede has the kit and can start to try and get it down. That explosion might give him the cover that he needs, but instead he's going to push on through. He knows there's a player in Laundry and one on Highway. SSG are playing this one very well indeed, and Brede doesn't have a lot of health to speak of. Again, going to use the stun to cover the sound of the plant, but Fultz is in hot pursuit. He's got the shotgun at close range, but it's going to be iconic to swing and take him out from the double. Finally, SSG win downstairs on the Laundry. The third time was the charm for them.
Again, for BDS, I don't know what they were expecting. You know, you've skipped so many steps in what you need to do to attack that basement. Look, I don't think BDS will care because now they know, okay, that's basement done, that's locked out. They have to go elsewhere where we'll feel pretty comfortable with. It will be the choice to the top floor for SSG. That is where they will be headed.
Which BDS did lose last time.
Yeah, they did. But overall for BDS, just that last round, you lose the Flores, you lose a lot of utility that you would get with that operator, and it almost feels as though, right, we're just gonna try and full send and hope they mess up. You're actually praying there that SSG don't do their job.
Back upstairs we go for round 12 then. SSG, there's a very real chance we get into an overtime here, Demo. They're only one round away now. That lead that BDS had, it was a very narrow margin indeed, a 6-4. Chance here for SSG to get themselves back into this, take it to an OT, and avoid going down to that 0-2 part of the Swiss bracket.
5 seconds.
So a few changes in the lineup for SSG. They have sacked off the Clash.
attackers' objective.
Which is honestly quite sad, considering what Bride's on. Bride's now on the Monty, would have been a great operator to really play against that Monty, is the Clash. But again, for BDS, I would say they're going to try and play it pretty by the books. I think try and gain control of Armory in towards Bedroom. Obviously, you have to try and deal with the Closet Hold, which is, look, I personally think a lot more people need to be doing these in their games because I think it's a very strong position. Mute is great for this kind of thing. You place the Mute Jammer very close to the bedroom door. It means that nobody can drone in through the balcony. You have that extended rotate into Closet, in through Bedroom, and it just means that you can just deny the attackers from even getting into Bedroom in the first place.
Speaking of Mute Jammers, I love the Mute Jammer on the Armory hat.
Yeah.
Ashen.
Don't see that every day.
He's got a Mute Jammer placed on there. He's playing on the Warden. You don't see players holding that hard onto Armory. Player on the rappel and a bit of a run-out attempted there as Solitov is going to get into an exchange. Ashen, he got a bit too close to the sun there and Solitov dealt with him.
No faults. He really wants this player on the rappel. He moves up in towards T3. But no, won't find anything, and here comes Bride, the big bad Monty, giving all of that information over to BDS. But once again, for SSG, it's just one of those where they're really trying to get into the face of BDS, but BDS is giving them nothing.
Bit of book action from below. That's going to remove anyone from being able to play close on the breach, and another kill to come in for BDS. They're doing such a good job of isolating these players on the side of SSG at the moment. That was one that Shaiko found over onto Forest. And with the Monty and a man advantage, things are only ever going to get worse.
All BDS need is just a player in double window and it kills the round dead, because then that's another area that really SSG cannot afford to hold, which luckily BDS, they have put the man towards double window. This is where just, you know, the pressure is just going to completely pile on to both sides for SSG, and I just don't think they have enough to hold on.
Bride can slowly but surely push his way in through Trophy. I think he knows that somebody is inside of Attic, and Usus will open up Attic window and start to apply that pressure. Time is going to be a factor eventually. 45 seconds left. Fultz, he's deadlocked watching onto that Attic window, but a bit of a drone work here from Usus is going to give that game away nicely for him. Bride still isn't able to cross as long as that player is alive inside of Attic, and Usus is just going to take the challenge. He drops onto Fultz and takes him out there. 5 versus 2 now. Iconic, he's caught out and immediately dealt with by Shaiko. The Rotero drone pushing him through, and now you've got a Monty bearing down on you. Shaiko to grab 3 in the final round, and BDS get it done in regulation.
SSG, my heart goes out to you. I thought you played some great Siege whenever you finally said, you know what, we're not afraid of these guys. But Ollie, we have to look at it. They should have had that mentality from the get-go.
Yeah.
The first 3 rounds, I feel, really came in to bite SSG in the behind.
Yeah, it wasn't a fantastic start there from SSG, and you do just wonder if one of those rounds had gone a little bit differently at the start. I'm not asking him for him to win all 3. Even if one of them had gone a little bit differently, then things would have been entirely different, because as soon as that timeout came, I think it's the most impactful timeout that I've seen to date here in the Manchester Major. 3 rounds in a row on sites that you were getting absolutely wasted on the first time round you saw him. Call out came in, and he did a brilliant job at rallying the troops, but it just wasn't enough.
No, and look, BDS, very lucky that EFAC played well today.
Yeah.
I think a very underperforming roster day from BDS. Look, you've gotten through a best of 1 because one guy in your team has played out of his skin. But for these guys to be these so-called grand finalists that a lot of people have kind of pitched in their pick'ems, it needs to be a lot better.
Well,
needs to be.
We've seen teams have slow starts at majors before and go on to do great things. BDS now enter the 1-1 side of the Swiss bracket. So 1 win, 1 loss. And that's what they're going to start to try and focus on now, is the games that now fall within that bracket. SSG on the flip side, there's a chance that they go home tomorrow.
Do or die.
Because they're in the 0 and 2. They're now in an elimination spot. And it seems like such a shame after we've seen them play well in phase 1 and get through that mountain and climb that hurdle. Now they find themselves in that. They've had a bit of an unlucky streak of games there, with obviously BDS getting dropped down into this 0 and 1, because BDS, they did deserve to win there today, but it was quite a narrow margin. And as we've said, only a couple of rounds really in it to make that difference.
Well, looks like that's all from us, Ollie, for today on the caster desk, but we do have Ginny over with Solitov for the interview.
We do have Solitov ready indeed. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. Congratulations, your first win here today. You had some very difficult opponents here, but you still managed to get on that board. How are you feeling? Is the pressure relieved a little?
We don't really have pressure, to be honest, because our whole team really experienced and all great players, of course. Just the first game through, we kind of didn't play well. Even if it's OT, we didn't really play well. Then this game we started the defense half really good. Then after the 3 rounds, we played quite bad, but the attack half was really good, so we just won the game by playing good attacks.
How do you bring it back when you notice that a couple of rounds are slipping and you know that you have to bring it back? Is it a timeout? Is it a team effort? Is it a comms? What is it indeed?
It's just the comms, to be honest, because on the defense half, the comms were missing. It wasn't on point. Then on attack half, the comms were perfect, so we just won the rounds and won the game by comms.
Looking ahead at tomorrow as well, it's another day of games, right? What is that looking like in terms of preparation? What's it looking like in terms of the team atmosphere?
We prep every team the same way, the same seriousness. We don't take this team is easier, this team is harder. Every team is harder, they're all the same. So we just prep all the teams the same way, like we're going to do for tomorrow.
When you say we prep the same way, what does the prep look like? Leaks?
I can't say about that.
All right, well, thank you so much for some of the input. I do appreciate it. We're going to be back in 1 minute, so make sure you stick around. We'll see you shortly.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Blast R6 Manchester Major. We're done with our games for today, but that means we still have a little bit of analysis coming your way from our one-man analyst show, Laxon. So we do appreciate it. Coming into this, you said BDS were, in a sense, the favorites. And SSG, you had some worries, some questions in regards to them, whether or not they'll show up, and unfortunately they didn't.
No, and I'm glad to see that this did go the distance, that this wasn't just sort of one-sided affair like we originally saw back in Atlanta where it was a 7-2. Still, not the result that SSG wants by any means, but good faith for BDS. Now you're putting yourself up in a better position. You still have more lifelines at your disposal, but for SSG, you are in a tough situation here. One more loss and you are done.
And that's a very scary situation to be in, especially when you are a team like SSG. I don't want to say they got unlucky, but also they kind of got unlucky a little bit today.
I think given the map, this was the best case scenario because this map really comes down to just who wins those initial gunfights, who's playing together, who's working together the best. Ultimately, it did come down to BDS, but again, this map I think was the best choice. It just did not go in their favor. And you look at these stats right here, Lickyfac was actually the best player in that skyscraper game, and now you're looking at here in Oregon, he was absolutely being a tear on the attack and the defense. A real thorn in SSG's side.
Yeah, coming into this as well from the side of SSG, particularly, it was Foltz that we had our eyes on in terms of whether or not that matchup between Foltz and Bird would actually come out to play, and it felt like it fell flat a bit.
Yeah, and this is kind of the trend that we've been seeing. SSG has so much potential, but they just seem to fall short, and it's just those little small errors, whether they're going too fast or they aren't communicating or someone just isn't on the same page, which comes down to that communication.
Yeah.
It's small things like that that truly hinder your performance in Siege, and that's just really what it is, and especially in a best of one, you almost have to be perfect.
Yeah, because it's only one shot, right? That's all you got. You don't have the option to go back to the drawing board, go back
They will have best of threes coming up, but not in the best situation.
To get to the main stage, that's a couple of BO3s as well in your way that you need to close out. But looking at the players particularly who have done really well, the top 3 players of this game particularly, it's not a series, it's a BO1. Lickyfac, of course, is going to be in there because, I mean, this guy was playing out of his mind. But Forrest, regardless of the current circumstances that they're in, he is still performing.
Yeah, and I don't want to just brush past Lickyfac. I mean, he's been a name, he's been an up-and-comer, he's been creating...
Up-and-comer?
Well, throughout my career and everything, it's still brand new to me. He's obviously not brand new to the scene, but he's a constant force to be reckoned with. Forrest, this is someone that I do want to talk about. We've talked about Shaiko a ton. That's no surprise to me, but Forrest did not have a great stage whatsoever. He bounced back a little bit in the LCQ, maybe a little bit at the end of the stage, But now to see him here, obviously that's not the best situation. You are 0-2 now, but it's still good to see the performance that is going on an upward trend, but that still needs to go back into the team play, and the team needs to be finding success, because it doesn't just come down to one player.
No, it doesn't. And of course, we've talked about teams who do have that luxury where individual hero plays can make or break their games, but that was not necessarily the case for SSG, and it won't be. But when you're looking particularly at BDS, LeakyFac, as well as Shaiko, but LeakyFac here particularly being the player highlighted, he is one of those players that can continuously pull BDS out of any unfortunate situation they're in and ensure that they're closing out games consistently.
I mean, one thing that's really impressive to me that sticks out about LeakyFac the most is just his game sense. He just always knows how to play the position properly, and truthfully, that's not something that you can teach. That's not something that a player just, you know, you're going to teach them how to do this. That is just intuition that is naturally developed in that player, and LeakyFac displays it perfectly throughout his performance.
Yeah, and I mean, today as well, it managed to get them that one win on the board, which they very much needed. And I think as well, looking at the teams that are currently sitting on that 0-2, like, it could either be FaZe or Liquid, right? That's the scary part, because you're SSG. Can you imagine your SSG? You have your BO3 to stay in the competition, and it's FaZe or Liquid?
At the end of the day, whether you find yourself at the top or you find yourself at the bottom, you have to beat everyone. That's just what it is. So where you find yourself is where you find yourself. That's how you have to look at it. That's how I look at it, and I'm pretty sure that's how they're going to look at it. You're not out yet. That's the biggest thing. But sometimes you got to have your back against the wall. That really forces you to be on point, to be focused as a player, as a team. So it's not always a bad thing, but it also does put that pressure on at all times, so it doesn't give you a chance to breathe.
Yeah, and I felt like particularly when we're looking at BDS today, this is, again, their chance to actually prove themselves on the international stage. We touched upon the facts for SI, they weren't there because they weren't EU's finest. We haven't really seen them perform
They
on
didn't make it by like 5 points.
Yeah, I mean,
that's insane.
let's not go down that road for the EU fans.